We're in the age of reboots and remakes, and there are some 1980s sci-fi TV shows worth considering. Though remakes have the potential for significant success, otherwise we wouldn't hear about new projects so often, there's a great deal of risk involved as well. The original series must have a nostalgic association among the public, or a strong premise that would perform even better today. Regarding sci-fi TV shows, there's an added benefit to a modern remake. Technology has come a long way in 40 years, so the more crude efforts of the 80s can be greatly improved. Add in that strong premise and nostalgia, and certain sci-fi TV shows are simply a recipe for success. With any luck, we will see new versions of these excellent projects in the coming years. Knight Rider, 1982 to 1986. Knight Rider is one of those outrageous but absolutely beloved TV shows of the 1980s. It starred David Hasselhoff as undercover detective Michael Knight and William Daniels as the voice of Kit, Michael's artificially intelligent car. Though Knight Rider had a reboot movie in 2008, and there have been other film remakes in development, there's so much more potential in a TV remake. Episodic sci-fi shows like Knight Rider are far and few between these days, since modern audiences tend to prefer long-form shows in this genre with more impactful commentary and themes. However, this is precisely why a reboot would be such a good idea. Nostalgia is key here, and if a Knight Rider reboot was specifically set in and used as a nod to the 80s, it could be a hit. Tales from the Dark Side, 1983 to 1988. Sci-fi horror series Tales from the Dark Side is an anthology series, similar to iconic projects like The Twilight Zone. What made this series unique, however, was its clever twists of comedy spread throughout. This is precisely the sort of thing that would appeal to modern audiences. Much of Tales from the Dark Side was adaptations of novels and short stories by popular authors. There were even 2 episodes from Stephen King. It would be great fun to see a variety of modern, or classic, authors have their works brought to the screen in a Tales of the Dark Side series. After all, King has produced dozens more stories since 1988 that could be adapted. Otherworld, 1985. Otherworld was a short-lived sci-fi series, which is a shame because it really had the potential to go the distance. Following the Sterling family's surprise trip off-planet through the Great Pyramid of Gaza, Otherworld dove into surprisingly poignant social commentary. It's this sort of thing that does well in sci-fi TV shows today. The world the Sterlings found themselves in Otherworld explores concepts of totalitarianism, allegory, and consumerism, as well as a wide variety of social issues that impact families in particular. A modern TV remake could really hone in on the personal relationships within a family in the 21st century to bring these topics to today's audiences. Misfits of Science, 1985 to 1986. We've had no shortage of teen superhero stories, but Misfits of Science could be something else entirely. While this sci-fi series is another that failed to find an audience in the 1980s, it has since found its way into our hearts. Its rise likely relates to Courtney Cox's role in one of her earlier on-screen performances before she became famous. Misfits of Science is almost comically 1980s, and it's precisely this that would make it such a great show to remake. A new series would need to keep the 80s setting, following a group of superpowered teens in a show that has a similar vibe to Stranger Things, though a bit lighter. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 1981. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which began as a radio series in 1978, has been adapted in a small variety of ways. The sci-fi comedy was adapted into a book in 1979, and it was around that time that the seed for the TV show was planted. All episodes aired in 1981, and it was an immediate cult classic. Though we got a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie in 2005, it couldn't quite match the TV show's mastery. That short format simply wouldn't allow it. A new TV adaptation, however, could be a different story. The 1981 Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy had a relatively low budget, so it would be neat to see how modern producers could turn up the volume. Alien Nation, 1989 to 1990. Yet another frustratingly short-lived sci-fi series, Alien Nation was a victim of unexpected budgeting issues at Fox. However, the show's reruns managed to make a significant impact. Once again, this is a sci-fi series that makes poignant statements about society, especially within the United States. Alien Nation has a conflicted, buddy cop vibe, and, as a police procedural, the story is delivered to audiences in deliciously small bites. A modern remake may turn the series format into a more traditional sci-fi drama, allowing that social commentary to shine through more powerfully. The good news is that an Alien Nation remake series has already been confirmed. The bad news, it's been in development hell for over a decade now. Voyagers, 1982 to 1983. Time travel stories are a staple of the sci-fi genre, both in the 1980s and today. Voyagers had a particular amount of fun with the concept. As a family show, the series is light and funny, but also full of excitement and themes that can be applied to viewers of all ages. This is just as impactful for today's viewers as it was for those in the 80s. Voyagers has a Doctor Who sort of vibe, and it's just as timeless. Something that could be fun in a modern remake, however, would be to keep the young protagonist, Geoffrey, as a kid from 1982, rather than the 2020s as we would expect. This, combined with the historical time travel, would add another fun, nostalgic element to the series. Starman, 1986 to 1987. Starman is a TV sequel to the 1984 movie of the same name. All about aliens, connection, humanity, and family, the series is an excellent blend of comedy and warmth. Unfortunately, despite the success of the movie, Starman didn't please critics when it aired in the 80s.